Hello everyone, my name is Chin Valdez and today we're going to be talking about Ragnarok Online 3 and my main jobs, the Rune Knight and the Royal Guard. So this is only the Pioneer test and all of this is still subject to change. Right now they give us access to third jobs, but some of the skills are still not available. And some of the skills are also still subject to change. But here during the Pioneer test, these are what we have so far. So for the Swordsman skills, we still have Bash, Magnum Break, Fatal Blow, Provoke, Endure, Sword Mastery, and Restoration. Or normally it's HP Recovery. But the skills here in Ragnarok Online 3 are a little different, like Fatal Blow not having stun anymore, except it gives you 5% attack speed when using Bash. Now, as I've mentioned, all of this is subject to change, but this is what we have so far here in the Pioneer test. Magnum Break is still pretty much the same. It's still your AoE fire damage skill, then turns your normal attacks into fire for 5 seconds. Now, for the Knight skills, almost all of our spear skills are not available. We don't have Pierce, Spear Stab, Spear Boomerang, Spear Mastery, and Spear Expert. And I think Auto Berserk you probably had in the original Ragnarok. I think it increases your attack when you're at low HP or something. Auto Counter is also a skill that we had back in Classic Ragnarok. Basically block 100% damage and then counter attack with a normal attack. But what's interesting to me here is our Sword Quicken. So Sword Quicken now is not a buff, but a permanent passive skill. So we gain attack speed plus 40% and hit plus 10. Bowling Bash is here again, but there's no knockback. We have Brandish Spear, which is still our AoE spear skill. And of course, Peko Peko Riding. Charge Attack here also has an innate 1-second stun. And so these are the Knight skills that we have here so far. And we're not really going to be using any of these during the Pioneer test. Because during the Pioneer test, we only have limited skill slots. So the devs were pretty vocal about them adding more skill slots later on as we move on into the alpha or the beta testing. So here during the Pioneer test, they really just want to focus more on testing the 40 versus 40 Guild League, also some of the dungeons where we farm equipment, and also the MVP hunts. So for the trans job or our Lord Knight, we don't have Berserk, which is very unfortunate. Spiral Pierce isn't available as well. We also don't have Joint Beat, but we do get Concentration, Head Crush, and Aura Blade. Head Crush gives a movement speed debuff, and Aura Blade increases normal attack damage by 30%. Concentration is still the same, increases your physical attack and your hit, while also increasing your damage taken. And we also get Tension Relax, which is pretty much your sustain skill from the Lord Knight skill tree. We also have Parry, but it's not yet available here in the Pioneer test. Now moving on to our Rune Knight skills, which is majority of what our current skill slots are going to be filled with. So we have Sky Piercer. So this is a great AoE gap closer, as well as inflicting movement speed debuff. We have Hack and Slasher, which is a great AoE normal attack skill, and Wind Cutter, which is basically just a buff on top of your Hack and Slasher. We have our breath skills here being only fire and water. I don't know if they're going to be adding more elemental breath skills, but for now, it's really just these two, fire and water. We don't even get the water breath here during the Pioneer test. Dragon Training allows you to ride your Dragon Combat mount while also increasing your Dragon Breath damage. We get Dragon Howling, which is basically like your Purify. It gives you crowd control immunity for 5 seconds. And there's a skill here, Sonic Wave. Looks like another AoE burst skill, but we don't have it here yet in the Pioneer test, so we don't actually see what it does. Enchant Blade here is not a buff anymore, but a passive skill. So it increases your attack speed and your defense. Vitality increases your crit rate and your physical attack. And Rune Mastery is a buff skill. So it increases your physical attack, your attack speed, and additionally increases your HP recovery rate and also your crit damage. So far from what we're seeing, Rune Knight skills are really catered towards dealing more crit damage. So a Hack and Slasher here actually becomes our normal attack skill. So instead of dealing normal attacks, It's kind of like an AoE normal attack that you can spam that also scales with your attack speed. And Death Bound. So it's basically a skill that gives you a shield and then explodes after the shield breaks. And our Rune Knight Spear skills are not yet unlocked here during the Pioneer test. But this one looks interesting, the 100 spears. If you've seen my Ragnarok Origin video back then, I do have a spear Rune Knight build video. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be something like that. Might be great for large scale PvP. We have Precision Stamp. I'm not quite sure what it does. It probably applies a debuff. And Phantom Thrust. So back in ROO, this is basically like your Pudge Hook or your Franco Hook pulls your enemies towards you. So these are the Rune Knight skills that we have here for the Rune Knight skill tree so far. Of course, everything is subject to change. We also have a mechanic here called the Remnant Echoes. So the Remnant Echoes actually change what your skills do, but it just adds additional effects to them. Like your AoE Gap Closer, the Sky Piercer now can stun your enemies for 1.5 seconds on top of the slow that it initially did. Your Wind Cutter now does 100% more damage. You also get a lot of really strong buffs here. It's kind of like your Nexus engine in Ragnarok Origin. It also changes your skill effects in a way. So instead of sword slashes, you actually see an actual dragon tail whipping out. Your Sky Piercer dragon turns into this Thunder Dragon instead. So altogether, the skills kind of look something like this. There we go. Moving on to the Royal Guard. So one thing that caught my eye in the Crusader skills is we do not have Auto Guard anymore. Instead, it's replaced with just Guard. It's just straight up damage reduction by 10%. And we don't actually gain access to the offensive shield skills here. So we don't have shield charge, we don't have shield boomerang here. We do have the defensive skills being the shield reflect, defending aura, and that's pretty much it. We don't get to see devotion in action, but I can imagine it's going to be the same. The Crusader takes damage for its teammates. And Spear Quicken is also a passive here now. It's not a buff anymore. You still have Spear Mastery, Grand Peko Peko Riding is still here, and Faith increases your max HP and Holy Resistance. The Crusader offensive skills are still here. We still have Holy Cross, we have Grand Cross, we still have Heal and Cure, Angel Guard, which is Demon and Undead damage reduction, Demon Bane, which is damage bonus versus demons and undead, and we also have Resistant Souls again. Now for the Paladin skills, we have Shield Chain, which is our only offensive shield skill. We have Battle Chant again, but this time we don't get random buffs. It's just a straight up physical and magic defense increase, as well as reducing enemies' physical and magic attack. Life Fountain and Light Insignia are just straight up buffs to your attack speed, defense, and your HP. We have Gloria Domini, which is usually that skill that reduces your enemy's SP. And of course, the infamous Sacrifice or the Martyr's Reckoning. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. Of course, when the game launches, I doubt that we'd go straight to third job like we have here in the Pioneer test. So normally we'd still have to go through the whole journey and progression of going through our novice, first job, second, trans job, then eventually to our third job. So this is going to be interesting. Are we going to have a Ragnarok round 2 here in Ragnarok Origin? Ragnarok Origin 2 here in Ragnarok Online 3. Now here for the Royal Guard skill tree, we're actually given access to both sides of the Royal Guard. We gain access to the offensive Royal Guard and also the defensive Royal Guard. So that's gonna be the Holy Knight and the Guardian. So we'll start off with the Guardian first. It's just your traditional shield skills that boosts defense for your team. So we have Reflect Damage, which is basically an upgraded version of your Reflect Shield. Piety, which applies the holy element to your armors and also your teammates. And another skill that's pretty interesting here is the Raise Shield. So it basically creates a wall that you can use to push enemies away. And everything else here is pretty much just stuns and damage reduction and shielding, very basic stuff. So these are what the skills look like. Very straightforward skills, dealing stun or AoE stun and damage reduction. And also, we do get an upgraded version of Devotion here. So it's basically devotion, but the Crusader and its allies are immune to negative status effects. Enemies within the area are also slowed, and the Royal Guard receives 50% of the damage taken by his allies. So it's basically an improved version of devotion, and it looks something like this. Now moving on to the offensive Royal Guard, the Holy Knight. So this time it's pretty generic offensive skills on the Royal Guard, but we do have this very nice gap closer here, the Bold Charge, as well as this AoE gap closer, which is the Hesperus Lift. So I think these two skills are pretty important here, especially for PvP. Cannon Spear is basically a range skill that we could use, while Overbrand and Whirling Moon are gonna be your AoE normal attacks as well. So the skills look something like this. So we still get a bit of crowd control here, with Whirling Moon pulling enemies in, Bold Charge knocking targets up, and Hesperus Lift immobilizing enemies. If you've made it this far and you've enjoyed the content, consider liking and subscribing. Moving forward, I'm going to be covering more updates, guides, tips, and tricks here on our channel. So be sure to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on our new videos. Hope to see you all on the next one.